Hello, this is Blanca with Furniture with Imagination and welcome back to my studio. I have a surprise for you today. Today I would like to salvage and rescue a piece that I found on the curb. I love roadside finds and some of them are wonderful. Some of them, you have to do a lot of work. But I found this cute little vintage table on the curb and I saw it ready to be picked up by the trash and I'm like, I just can't let it go to the trash, especially something this cute and beautiful. Okay, so I found this little table. It's all solid wood and it has great craftsmanship. The legs are really cute and the table is just gorgeous. I don't know if any of you know what type of table this is. I have not been able to really know what this is, but it's a really cute accent table, I guess. So if you know, if this is a special table that I don't know about, please put it in the comments down below. I'd love to know. All right, so what we're gonna be doing, and my idea is, I would like to do this table with lacquer. So make it like a little cute finish so it looks classy. We're going to be using white perfection lacquer for the legs, and my idea is to use the basic black for the top, and I'm even thinking maybe we can do this top here on the white as well. But I don't know how hard that's going to be spraying the top, but we'll see if we can take the challenge. All right, good. Now, every time that you use lacquer on furniture, you want to make sure that the piece is prepared. As you know, wood has grooves and the grain, and it has little imperfections, especially a vintage piece like this. And when you apply lacquer straight to a piece like that, what it does is that the lacquer doesn't come out really smooth and shiny and good. So you want to prepare it. And how you prepare it is that you apply the Furniture Lacquer Primer. And this is Amy Howard at Home Furniture Lacquer Primer. And it's really good. And what it does is just, it literally covers all the smooth, all the grooves and grain and imperfections. So your lacquer is, going to be really smooth and perfect. We're going to be applying that, let it dry for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to be ready to apply our color lacquer, okay? So that's the project today. So please tag 3 friends because we're giving away today lacquer and you definitely want to try it. And also, if you have any questions, put it in the comments down below. I always love to answer your questions and help you in any way I can. And then that's it. I put the links on all this lacquer there if you're interested on using it for future projects. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, so we're ready now to apply our Furniture Lacquer Primer. And just so you know, what I did is I scuff sanded the table. For whomever doesn't know what scuff sanding means, it means just very lightly sand with like a high number sandpaper, like I did actually with 120. And I just very lightly sanded the top with my hand, just because the finish was chipping off. And it was a very old stain and poly, and I want the lacquer to be lasting. I don't want it to chip off. So I decided to scuff sand it, and I started scuff sanding, and honestly, the stain and poly came off so easily that it almost made it to raw wood. So this is actually perfect because I know my lacquer is gonna last. Now, when you try to lacquer on raw wood, what happens is that you absolutely need to use the primer. If you try to just lacquer any furniture raw wood, what happens is that the wood is going to absorb and absorb and absorb the lacquer, and you're going to have to use like 3 or 5 times more lacquer just to get the same finish. And that's why it's so important to use the Furniture Lacquer Primer. and we're gonna actually apply it and probably do 2 or 3 coats depending on what we get. We're gonna see between coats and then probably sand between coats, so it is a very smooth finish. Okay, so always protect yourself. I have my mask here, and I have ventilation here, but it's preferably to do it outside just because it definitely has smell and it's spray. So protect yourself, and we're gonna just start priming, and we're gonna start with the legs. So I'm gonna turn the table and we're gonna start priming the legs. Okay?
Okay, so we're starting the process of applying our primer. And what you want to do is you want to hold the can about 8 inches away from the surface that you're going to prime. You have to do it in a way that you overlap the spray onto the one that you just did to have that smooth finish without leaving a line. It's very easy despite the fact that the legs are very thin. So just make sure that you have full coverage. And what this is going to be doing is it's going to be filling in all the wood imperfections and wood grain to leave us a very smooth surface to then con and apply our color lacquer. We're gonna let it dry for about 30 minutes. We're gonna sand it, and then most likely we're gonna apply another coat of primer to make sure that the surface is fully smooth. Time to sand our first coat of primer. So the entire table has been primed, and I am sanding very lightly with 320 just to make sure that the surface is very smooth, and then we are going to be doing another coat of primer. It is very important that you sand with 320 or 420. I'm doing it with 320 because otherwise you're going to be scratching what you just apply, and the purpose is to leave it very smooth as opposed to like scratching or taking off the primer. This is going to give you a very smooth finish. So make sure you do it everywhere, and we're ready for the second coat.
Okay, so our primer is dry now. We did primer 2 coats and we put it everywhere. And what I did is I taped and put plastic on the areas that I'm gonna be painting black, because we're ready to start with white perfection on the legs and here on the top. So just so the paint doesn't spray on the areas that I want to do black. So make sure that you shape this very well, and and then we're gonna get going. Okay, so let's start application.
Okay, we're completed with the lacquer, and we're going to be applying now white perfection. This is our color, and it's really beautiful. You have to hold the can, as I said, about 8 or 9 inches away, and make sure that you overlap and that you do it all at the same time, meaning like don't leave time in between, because otherwise you might get lines. So we're going to be doing on white all the legs, and the top I managed to tape the table in a way that the top it's ready to be painted. So it's actually really easy, not complicated at all. In fact, this is something that you can do in an afternoon. It's very easy. It's just the time that it takes to dry in between coats. So if you do it this way, you're not going to get any runs. If you do happen to have a run because you actually apply too much, or sometimes in vertical areas, sometimes you get runs or things like that, then you can sand between coats. But there you go, that's the final. Looks beautiful. And then I took the plastic off to start applying the black, but look at the top, it is really beautiful. So we're ready for our black. So I want you to imagine that you are painting with your brush. It's the same technique, you go back and forth, but take your time. Don't do it too fast. Like that is a thin coat and it's not too thick, and just overlap the spray. And it's as simple as that, nothing complicated. It's very easy to spray, and we already have coverage there for this side of the table. So the whole idea of this is to ensure that you actually do it in thin coats. Take your time, be overlapping the paint. This paint, as you know, has a very high sheen, and so any little imperfections and mistakes are gonna show, but it is very easy to correct. If you get an imperfection, if you get a little bump, if you get something that is not fully smooth, you can let dry the paint or the primer, and then you can sand with 320 or 420, and you're ready to apply another coat on top of that, and it gets repaired like that very easily. So that's it. That's all there is to it, and I have now here the full coverage for the black.
Okay, good. So we completed to put our two colors, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. So just so you can see, it has white on the top, and it's this beautiful black with the white legs. I'm pretty happy on how it looks. It looks more like a mid-century modern. And by the way, I actually found out that this is a smoking table, okay? It actually had it written down below here. So there's just one more step to be done, and is to apply Bright Idea. This is the translucent lacquer, and it's just to give a coat of really nice sheen. So that's going to protect it, and it's going to leave it absolutely outstanding, okay? And that will be basically the last thing we're going to be doing. So yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so this is the final coat, and I want you to realize that this last coat is actually lacquer, and it's just lacquer that has no color in it, just to leave an extra protection to our paint, because this is definitely a delicate color and paint, so you don't want to actually just leave it unprotected, and it's going to give it that extra absolutely gorgeous sheen that lacquer has. So we have to do it throughout, and you can sand it if there's a little tiny imperfection. Wait till it dries after applying the lacquer and sand it. Now the last coat that you're going to do not sand it. Do not sand the last coat, because then obviously it's going to make it dull. So that's it. That's very simple. We're going to let it dry now, and we're ready for our final reveal.
Okay, so here is our final reveal, and I'm really loving how this little table came out. The lacquer is absolutely gorgeous, perfectly smooth. Looks like it was done, you know, but complete professional. And honestly, I don't have that much experience with lacquer, but it's super easy. If you follow the tips I'm giving you here, you're gonna have absolutely perfect smooth application. Okay, so I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to tag 3 friends so you can actually win some lacquer, because I'm sure you want to try that. And I'll see you next week for my next video. Thank you so much.